and the land is dark, and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand.
Stand by me, guys! How is everyone doing? Did a little lip sync for you, trying to make it a little exciting and be silly at the same time. Oh, my sophomores, all of you. The sophomores I teach period 4 and 6, and the sophomores Mr. Franco teaches period 4. We miss you so freaking much. So you heard no school for the rest of the year. It's kind of sad. We didn't really get to say our final goodbyes. And I had a little bit of an emotional breakdown about it, as I'm sure you did. Or maybe you were like, hey, free time. Either way, though, our lives are changing in not so positive ways. And our new reality is we have to learn online. And as much as I might hate teaching online and you might hate learning online, I don't think our reality is changing anytime soon. Not even sure what the fall holds for us. But we can either cry about this and give up and just stay in the same place and get nowhere, or we can make a decision to somehow motivate ourselves and move on with our lives. I don't know about you, but I've learned so much technologically that I feel like in a couple of weeks, I'll be able to really be savvy online. And you're going to be prepared for when you go to college and you have to pass things in online. A lot of your college classes you'll be doing online. You can ask one-goalers or people in your lives that are in college. A lot of it is done online. You pass in your work online. You download readings from online. You even have to do certain blogs online. So we just got to look at this as an opportunity to grow. And remember, we don't grow if we're in our comfort zones. We grow when we're being challenged. Okay, guys, I got lots of things to talk about. I'm not going to talk about everything here. You're going to have to start coming to the read aloud sessions that me and Mr. Franco host. Sometimes me and Mr. Franco will be together. Sometimes she'll host, and sometimes I'll host. Same with the office hours. You are required, though, I want to remind you to come to one work session, read aloud session a week. And then you do not have to come to all the office hours. They're there to help you. However, now attendance to read aloud sessions is going to be recorded weekly in Aspen on Friday. If for some reason you don't make it to one of the two, or I think for you guys, we have 3 read aloud sessions, then you can contact me and Mr. Franco. You can text us and say, hey, I missed the read aloud sessions. Can I come to a work session and get the lesson and information from you? If we give you permission, that's fine. You can then be counted as coming to class for that week. But your attendance and the hours are now going to be recorded in Aspen. And if we don't have your attendance to prove that you're learning and making progress, you will not be able to move on to the next grade level. So the onus, the accountability, the responsibility of this 10th grade work is on you. And if you don't get it done, you'll be spending summer, the month of July, in summer school. And I don't know about you, but when it's like 90 degrees with 100% humidity, I don't want to just be locked inside my house working online or be locked inside of school if we can go back to school doing summer school work. That's not the life I want for myself in July. It really isn't. And it shouldn't be the life you want for yourself in July. So if you're getting bogged down by online learning, if you feel like giving up, do not give up. Your teachers are available to you almost 24 hours a day. Text them, call them, FaceTime them, because your future depends on it. If we don't have work from you that shows you are learning and progressing and that you have certain skills, and if we don't have your attendance recorded in Aspen, we cannot tell the Department of Education you're ready to move on to the 11th grade. And either you're going to have to attend summer school or you might get kept back. And nobody wants that. You're all too smart for that. So yes, summer school is going to be happening, whether it's in school or online, it will be happening, and you don't want to be attending it. Okay, grades. So Term 3 has been extended till the end of June. I'm going to talk more about that when you come to our read aloud sessions, but this gives you an opportunity to make up work. In fact, in all your core classes, not just English, you have the ability to now pass for the year. This means you could call your core teacher, say it's science, and say you failed term 1 and you want to make it up. You could talk to them about what you could do to possibly pass term 3 and term 1. I mean, it's kind of like an opportunity of a lifetime. We will be recording grades in Google Classroom, and you're going to see a lot of your teachers are going to do weighted grades, and so they're going to talk to you about that. But if you're not passing work in on Google Classroom, you're not proving to us that you're ready for the next grade. Other announcements. I want to go to some past assignments that me and Mr. Franco have assigned, and we're a little bit scared. A lot of you did the end of Othello test, so thank you, but it was like a little bit more than half. So if you haven't done the end of Othello test, which is a Google form, please do it as soon as possible. Only 8 people turned in the Google form, which were some questions about race, and that makes me sad. So if you haven't done the Google form that asks you different questions about how you feel about this idea and concept of race, you need to do that ASAP, because we're going to be talking about it in classes next week. The Act 4 pop quiz, 19 turned that in. That's great. If you didn't do it yet, you need to do it ASAP. That was a Google form. And then, the sadness. So your signpost notes for Act 5, only 7 people turn that in. And your signpost notes for Act 4, about 9 people turn that in. If your signpost notes for Act 4 and 5 are not done, that should be a huge priority this week. Because I'm thinking soon we're going to close out the dates on that. We want to move on. In fact, we are moving on. We're moving on to a new text. It's a little bit more exciting. It's very controversial. We're going to be talking about things like race and stereotyping and discrimination, and we're going to be empowering ourselves to learn how to spot that in real life, not just person to person, but in society. And we can't do that unless you get these things done. Okay, that was a lot. Last thing I want to talk about is your assignments for the week. You got an assignment on Sunday. It was a weekly schedule. The reason why Mr. Franco and I created this assignment is because this is our new reality, and we can cry and we can moan and groan about it, but we have to man up, we have to woman up, and we have to decide, do I want to move forward? Do I want to have a future where I can go to college or go to a trade school? And do I not want to end up in a place where I'm 30 making $40,000 a year? That might sound like a lot now, but it ain't nothing. So weekly schedule. We have to learn how to manage our time. If you saw Mr. Franco's schedule, you know what we're doing almost every hour of the day, and this schedule is pretty much right. You can see when we're having class times for all of the classes. You can see when we have meetings, and we have a lot of meetings. You can see when we're grading and working on things. One, we wanted to give this to you so if you text us and we don't get back to you right away, you can look on the schedule and say, oh, that's because she's in a meeting, or maybe that's because I'm teaching another class online, or maybe I'm grading. Now, we don't expect your schedules to look like ours, but we want you to do it because you need to start learning how to prioritize what assignments you need to be working on for different classes. If you don't get up till 12, I'm not judging you. Well, okay, I'm judging you a little bit. Or maybe I'm just jealous because I don't get that option in my life. But if you don't get up to 12, then tell me that. And you can add rows below and tell me when you're going to bed. Add a row for like 8 to 9, 10 to 11. And tell me what you're doing. If I were you, I'd be spending at least an hour on every class a week, minimum. And maybe I pick, on Mondays I work on these classes, on Tuesdays I work on these classes, and I go back on Wednesday to the classes I was working on Monday. But you really need to start learning how to prioritize your time. If you give us a schedule and it's not practical, I'm going to give you feedback right away and you're going to have to do it again. And I know Mr. Franco will feel the same way. Don't lie to yourself, don't lie to us. Be realistic. If you don't get up till 11, 12, tell us that. Give yourself more rows. And we'll be doing a little bit more on time management and managing our emotions during this crazy emotional time in the future. Okay, your next assignment, though, is to start to read what is called the Invisible Man text. It is about a young man who's African American, and he decides to go work in a golf club and to sort of document the experience and talk about what it was like to face different types of racism. You, this week, only have to read 2 parts, but let me rewind. Part 1 of this week's assignment requires you to make your own folder in your Google Chrome files labeled ELA 10, because you're going to have to take this text and move the text into this folder. You're also going to have other handouts that you're going to want to put in this folder so you can keep track of different documents we're going to be using online. So 1, in your Google Chrome, make an ELA 10 folder. 2, take the Invisible Man text. We made you a copy so you don't have to copy it, but then add it to your drive and organize it in your ELA 10 folder. So that's step 1. Step 2, you're going to get a journal to go along with the reading. You only have to read the first 2 entries. So that's the first entries, which is paragraphs 1 to 7 or 1 to 9. I'm forgetting right now. And then the second journal entry, which is only 3 to 4 paragraphs. After you read that, you're going to write a journal entry. Now, on this document that we have for you, that we already made a copy for you, that you're going to put in your ELA 10 folder, you have an extra credit option, which I think you should really use. As we read each entry, you have a column to make some notes, and we even gave you sentence stems. We're asking you to do 3 margin notes for each entry. So you have to read 2 entries this week, so you should have 6 margin notes. Now, you're not going to turn that in this week at all. You're going to keep your notes, and you're not going to turn them in until probably sometime in the beginning of June. Your margin notes will be counted as a huge extra credit assignment that could help you in your grade for your final. So you want to think about that. So you're not turning in the Invisible Man text, but if you want to get extra credit, as we read along in the next couple of weeks, you'll do 3 margin notes each entry. And then later in June, you'll turn it in to us for extra credit. So the final part of this week's assignment is to do a journal entry for the 2 parts of the Invisible Man text you're going to read. And it's sort of like what we've been talking about in perspective. I want to know, would you be willing to do what Lawrence Otis did? Would you be willing to give up a really good career as a lawyer where you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars? Would you be willing to take a leave of absence, not get that pay for a couple of months, and go work as a waitress or waiter? And if you're willing to do that, why would you be willing to do it? If you're not willing to do that, tell me why else you're not willing to do that. What are the things that you would not want to risk? Maybe you don't want to risk not having money. Maybe you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you have to experience racism every day. So your journal entry needs to be 2 paragraphs. Each paragraph, minimum of 5 sentences, and you need 2 quotes. If you want to put 2 quotes in paragraph 1, you can do that. If you want to put a quote in each paragraph, you can do that. A quote, though, is not 3 lines long. A quote is like maybe 8 to 10 words max. So don't give me a quote that you think is going to take up space in your paragraph. It ain't going to work. This journal entry is about you and your thoughts. You do have to write in sentences, but we're not going to grade you for grammar and punctuation. However, you need to use capital letters at the beginning of a sentence. You need to have periods. Do not just give me free write, because then I won't be able to understand your thinking. That journal entry is due this Sunday. I think that's all the announcements I have. Again, remember, work sessions are coming up this week. Your work session, the first one for the week is, I'm looking now. We made your work sessions later at night. The first work session for 10th grade this week, and will always be on the same days, Wednesday, 7 to 8. So work session that you need to come to a read aloud session that's required is this week, 7 to 8. There's another session on Thursday, 3 to 4. And there's the last live work session, which me and Mr. Franco will both be in Friday, 4 to 5. We will be putting those up and giving you the links on Google Classroom. I said a lot. I did a little singing. I need you to stand by me. And Mr. Franco needs the 10th graders to stand by me. And we are going to stand by you. We can't do this alone. You can't do this alone. We have to get through these hard times together. I love you. I miss you. Please do what you need to do. And please keep me and Mr. Franco in check too. Bye.